I do. Hey, welcome back. We have an interesting topic for the week. At least I think it's interesting. I do hope you find it interesting and provocative and it stimulates uh, new areas of insight for all of us in a way that's beneficial. Let's see. Yesterday I mentioned the Ten Commandments, specifically the first one, which is the first one probably for a reason, but you shall have no other gods before me. But, can we just get real for a second? I just looked up when were the Ten Commandments written, and there's no absolute certainty, but based on, it is a historical truth, but who knows, but roughly 2,500 to 2,700 years ago, 27 centuries ago, roughly, plus or minus, give or take a century. So that absurd rostrum of 10 pool rules, so to speak, uh, was written 27 centuries ago. And come on, I mean, are you kidding me? Are we thinking the Bronze Age? What sort of wisdom could men come up with 2,700 years ago that could still possibly be applicable today? I mean, we know so much more. The scientific revolution haven't hasn't happened yet, and men's minds were so fettered by absurd and ridiculous superstitions. They were so clouded. I mean, back then, lightning was a god, and earthquakes were a god, and humans had so many absurd notions of things. And how could a list of ideas written 2,700 years ago possibly pertain to anything truthful or meaningful today? Shouldn't we just flush that down the toilet of historical absurdities and get on with what's really true? Hmm. Thoughtful emoji. But, back then, the thought of not putting any God before God itself was even more radical because think how fettered humans' minds were with, I mean, you could believe in fire, you could believe in lightning. If there was an earthquake, there were giant turtles under the earth that were mating that was causing, I mean, the idea even back then to look for the creator rather than the created was really a stunning achievement in human consciousness. And maybe it's still applicable, but still, all that being said, think of our minds today. We're so much smarter and we're so much less likely um, to put worldly or superstitious things in the way of our gigantic modern intellects. But wait, let's have a look at some of the things we might put before God today. I just wrote a quick little list because I couldn't help myself. But I'm just going to mention a few things and whether you, inside of your own head and heart, might occasionally be distracted or habituated to, or find that you rely upon these things that I'm going to mention more than the source of reality itself. Of course, I'm applying this to my own self in the most strident and stringent way. How about your news program? How about waking up in the morning and listening what's going on in the world, and that your angle on the news, not that hideous other angle of those evil, stupid people, but your angle on the news that you need to tap into so that you can find out what's really going on. Do you ever put that before your conscious contact? How about your favorite politician or your political angle, the one you're so absolutely certain is right, especially nowadays with the entire uh, future of the world hanging on the absolute insistence that your side is right? How about your favorite food or substance or your favorite drug? Do you ever turn to that? Do you ever rely upon that? Your comfort food, your cookie, your drug, whatever that might be, rather than the immaterial, uncreated source of things? How about your bank account? How about if you looked on the news and a few banks managed to fail, how quickly would you go look at your bank account and make sure that there were sufficient zeros there in behind the primary number? How about your professional reputation? How about if that suddenly fell apart and you didn't have your background in those placards on the wall? I'm applying all of this to myself, by the way. How about your special gift or talent, the thing that you can do that makes you better or more sophisticated than someone else? How about your intellectual attainment? How about your IQ? How about the number of degrees that you have? How about your ability to figure things out so much better than the other people can? How about that special person in your life? How about the person or people that you could not live without? Do we ever make that God? Do we ever make that more important than that which created them? This is a brutal list, man. Maybe they were onto something 2,700 years ago. How about your body? How about your body operating in perfect condition, and God forbid anything that should happen to it that would impede your plans for life? How about your home? How about if you went home and there were squatters inside of your house and they had rewritten your deed and your house wasn't your house anymore? Do we ever put our house, our worldly house, ahead of the one that's in heaven, so to speak? How about your dreams and aspirations? How about your need to be right? Do you ever feel like your own personal need to be right is more important than, well, maybe you're wrong. Maybe the thing that you think that you're most right about is actually the thing that you couldn't be more wrong about. Huh, interesting thought. How about the survival of your ego, who you think you are as opposed to who you really are? Ugh. So, maybe 2,700 years ago, the fact that human consciousness being raised up to its highest level and identifying that we need to put God first rather than what we would put first might be the most important thing in the world, right up to the very moment. Eesh! Have a great day. I love you a lot. See you tomorrow.